Chosen one, stop. Don't scroll. Don't move. Because what just brought you to this exact video, at this exact second, that was not you. God did not bring you here to entertain you. He brought you here to warn you. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That heaviness sitting on your chest that no amount of sleep can shake. Waking up at 3 a.m., eyes wide open, no alarm, no reason, just awake. Like something invisible tapped your shoulder and said, "Pay attention." That restlessness in your spirit, that strange feeling that the rooms you've lived in, the routines, the relationships, the version of yourself you've carried for years, suddenly don't fit anymore. Like wearing someone else's coat. Something is near. You can't name it, but you feel it pressing against the door of your life. What feels like pressure may actually be proximity. What feels like delay may actually be divine restraint. Because right now, not someday, not next season, God is holding a window open for you. Like a train door pausing one final time before it closes. Like morning light slipping through the crack of a locked door. He is standing at that gate, holding it open, watching you hesitate. But that window is not permanent. Before this message ends, you will know whether what you're walking through is a breakdown or the edge of a breakthrough. And I need to warn you about 3 traps. 3 subtle, silent traps that cause God's own chosen ones to miss the very thing He is opening. One of them, the most dangerous one, is made almost exclusively by humble people. Good people. Faithful people. People who talk themselves directly out of their own answered prayer. We will get there. But right now, hear this clearly. This is not punishment. This is positioning. God does not hold windows open for strangers. He holds them open for the ones He has been preparing in the dark. If this message found you at the exact moment your spirit needed it, type "open the window" in the comments right now. And stay with me, because this warning turns into an invitation. Let me ask you something nobody else has asked you lately. When was the last time someone looked you in the eyes, really looked, and said, "I see how much you've been carrying"? Not a quick, "I'll pray for you," not a pat on the shoulder, but someone who actually sat down, leaned in, and said, "I know, I see it." And it is heavy, because chosen one, what you have been walking through is not small. And the fact that you've been walking through it quietly, faithfully, without falling apart in public, that is not weakness. That is one of the most costly forms of strength a human being can carry. But today, heaven sees it. And this message is going to say out loud what you have been too tired to say yourself. You have prayed, long prayers, deep prayers, prayers that cost you sleep, cost you tears, cost you the last drop of faith you thought you had, and you heard silence, not a whisper, not a sign, just silence so thick it felt like a wall. And somewhere in that silence, a question started growing in the back of your mind that you're almost afraid to say out loud. Has God forgotten me? You have remained faithful while people around you advanced. You watched others receive the very things you've been believing God for, and you smiled. You said congratulations, and you meant it. But on the drive home, alone in the car, you let yourself feel what you couldn't show anyone else. You have outgrown rooms you used to belong in. Conversations that once fed your soul now feel hollow. Relationships that once carried you now feel like weight. And the terrifying part is this: the old life no longer fits, but the new one hasn't arrived yet. You are standing in between. Not there anymore. Not here yet. In the hallway. In the fog. And if you are honest, if you are really honest, you are tired of being told to just wait. Because waiting at 35 feels different than waiting at 65. When you are older, waiting carries accumulated weight. It carries decades of unanswered prayers, stacked one on top of another. It carries the face of a child who drifted away. It carries the ache in your body that reminds you every single morning that time is moving. It carries the loneliness of outliving people who knew your whole story. It carries the quiet grief of giving so much of yourself to others for so many years and wondering if anyone will show up for you. That kind of waiting is not light. That kind of waiting is not romantic. That kind of waiting is a specific, particular, bone-deep exhaustion that only people who have truly believed for a long time will ever understand. The Bible says in Psalm 13:1, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever?" That was David, the man after God's own heart. And even he sat down in the dust and said, "How long?" So don't you dare be ashamed of asking that question. Heaven is not offended by your honesty. Heaven is not withdrawing because you are tired. Now hear me carefully, because this is where most people stop, and this is exactly where you cannot afford to stop. The pain is real, every bit of it. I am not going to stand here and minimize what you've walked through. You didn't imagine it. You didn't manufacture it. The losses were real. The silence was real. The exhaustion is real. But the pain is not proof that God stepped away. Think of a house being gutted before renovation. From the outside, it looks abandoned. The walls are stripped, the floors are bare. Everything familiar has been pulled out. A stranger walking past would say, "Nothing is happening there." But the contractor knows the most important work happens in the stripping. Think of winter soil. It looks dead, nothing growing, no color, no movement. But underground, just beneath the frozen surface, life is being stored, compressed, concentrated, waiting for the appointed moment to break through. That is what God has been doing in your silence. Sometimes, heaven grows quiet not because God is absent, but because a transition is being sealed. Not announced, sealed. In the Spirit, certain shifts are so significant that they require a period of sacred quiet before they can be revealed. The fog on a bridge does not mean the other side has disappeared. It means you haven't reached it yet. Your exhaustion is not evidence of failure. Your exhaustion may be evidence that you have been carrying a level of spiritual pressure that only comes right before movement. The Bible says in Galatians 6-9, "Do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap if you do not give up." If you do not give up, not if you perform perfectly, not if you stop feeling tired, not if you stop asking hard questions, simply if you do not give up, and you haven't. You are still here, still listening, still reaching towards something you cannot fully see. That is not weakness. That is the most powerful kind of faith there is. If you've been carrying a silent burden and you are still holding on to God through it, stop right now and write "I'm still here" in the comments, because heaven needs to hear that declaration come out of you today. But chosen one, I need to warn you about something, because the very pain of this season, the exhaustion, the silence, the accumulated weight can become a trap. The first trap, the one that causes people to misread what God is doing and make a decision that delays everything. And that trap has a name. Now let me tell you what this window actually is. Because most people hear the word window and they think miracle. They think sudden wealth. They think fireworks and open skies and angels announcing something dramatic at their front door. That is not what I'm talking about. What God is holding open right now is not a spectacle. It is a threshold, a narrow, sacred threshold between who you have been and who He has always called you to become. This window is a period of divine alignment, a moment when heaven and earth are leaning in the same direction over your life. A specific, appointed time where obedience matters more than comfort, where movement matters more than certainty, where one decision, one surrender, one step of faith carries the weight of 10 years of waiting. And here is what makes it urgent. This kind of window does not stay open forever, not because God is cruel, but because seasons are real. Ecclesiastes 3 says it plainly. There is a time and a season for every purpose under heaven. Not every day, not every season. Specific times, appointed moments. Habakkuk 2-3 says the vision waits for an appointed time. It will not be late, but it requires your readiness when it arrives. This is not superstition. This is not manipulation. This is biblical pattern written across the entire story of God's people. Noah had a window and then the rain came. The Israelites had a window at the Jordan River and then God said, "Move." Esther had a window in the palace and Mordecai looked at her and said, "Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" The window was real, the timing was sacred, and hesitation had a cost. Now hear this. Because this is where most people get it wrong. A divine window is not always when life gets easier. Sometimes it is when your spirit gets clearer. Read that again. Let it land. You have been waiting for the clouds to part, for the bank account to confirm it, for the people around you to validate it, for circumstances to line up so perfectly that faith feels safe, clean, and risk-free. But that is not how windows work. A window opens in the middle of a storm. A tide window for a ship to leave harbor doesn't wait for perfect weather. It opens in the exact small space between tides, and the captain who hesitates misses the passage. A mountain pass doesn't hold itself open while you deliberate. The weather closes in, and the moment is gone. Chosen one, God is opening something over your life right now, in the exact middle of your pressure, in the exact middle of your uncertainty, in the exact middle of what looks like confusion, but is actually preparation. And here is the truth that hits different when you're 65, 70, 75 years old. You have lived long enough to look back and identify the windows you walked through, and the ones you didn't. You know exactly what I mean. That moment you felt called to forgive but waited too long. That door that opened and you told yourself you weren't ready. That still small voice that said, "Go, speak, surrender, trust and fear," dressed itself up as wisdom and convinced you to stay still. You felt the window. You just didn't have language for it. Isaiah 43-19 says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Do you not perceive it?" God is asking you that question right now. Not tomorrow, right now. Because perception precedes possession. You cannot walk through what you refuse to recognize. So let me tell you what this window looks like in real life. Because it is not loud, it is not public, it does not announce itself with fanfare. It looks like a conversation that shifts something deep inside you, a release, finally letting go of something you've carried for 20 years. A correction from the Holy Spirit that stings but illuminates. A bold decision that terrifies your logic but settles your spirit. A door of peace opening inside you before anything changes on the outside. An inner shift that always precedes outer change. John 10:27, "My sheep hear my voice," not the loudest voice in the room, His voice, the quiet authority that moves through you like a current when you are still enough to feel it. That is the window, a crack in the wall where light enters, not a flood of light, just a crack, just enough to see by, just enough to take the next step. And chosen one, here is the question that should shake you where you sit. What if the thing you have been calling anxiety is actually awakening? What if the sleeplessness is not your body breaking down but your spirit breaking open? What if the restlessness is not a symptom but a summons? Because many people do not miss their window because the devil is strong. They miss it because the trap looks reasonable. It looks like waiting for a better time. It looks like humility. It looks like patience. It looks like wisdom. But it is none of those things. It is fear dressed in spiritual clothing. And there are 3 of these traps. 3 specific, silent, reasonable-looking traps that cause God's chosen ones, faithful people, praying people, people just like you, to stand right at the edge of everything God prepared and quietly talk themselves out of crossing over. Stay locked in, because the next part exposes the first trap. And when you hear it, you will recognize it immediately, because you have already lived inside it. Let me ask you something. Nobody has been bold enough to ask you lately. When was the last time you actually expected God to move? Not hoped, not wished, not whispered a prayer out of habit before closing your eyes at night, but genuinely, deeply, in your bones expected something to shift, because there is a kind of tired that doesn't show up on any medical chart. No doctor can diagnose it. No vacation can cure it. It doesn't come from working too hard or sleeping too little. It comes from something far more painful than physical exhaustion. It comes from believing and waiting and believing again and watching nothing change. This is faith exhaustion. And chosen one, it may be the most dangerous condition a believer can carry because, unlike doubt, it doesn't announce itself. It doesn't storm in through the front door. It creeps in quietly, wearing the face of wisdom, wearing the face of maturity, wearing the face of peace. But it is none of those things. The enemy studied you. He watched your faith survive the storms. He watched you pray through the hard nights. He watched you hold on when everything in you screamed to let go. And he realized something. He cannot break what God has sealed. So he changed his strategy. He doesn't need to destroy your faith. He just needs to exhaust it. Think about that slowly. He doesn't need you to stop believing in God. He just needs you to stop expecting God to move for you. He needs you to reach a place where you still show up to church, still read the word, still bow your head, but somewhere deep inside, the lights have dimmed. The urgency is gone. The hunger has gone quiet, and you've accepted it. Because hoping hurts too much now. Galatians 6-9 says it plainly. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Notice what Paul didn't say. He didn't say, the harvest won't come. He said it won't come if you give up. The condition isn't God's faithfulness. The condition is your endurance. And here is where it gets dangerous for the chosen one. When exhaustion sets in, it starts doing something sinister. It starts interpreting God for you, and it always interprets him wrong. Exhaustion looks at silence and calls it abandonment. Exhaustion looks at delay and calls it denial. Exhaustion looks at a closed door and calls it a final answer. And slowly, without you even noticing, what began as weariness becomes a philosophy, a theology built entirely on disappointment. You stop praying with fire and start praying out of obligation. Your worship becomes performance. Your faith becomes routine. And the most heartbreaking part? You call it growth. You call it, I've just learned not to put God in a box. You call it, I've matured past needing signs. But chosen one, let me say this with love and with urgency. There is a difference between mature faith and muted expectation, and the enemy is counting on you to confuse the two. Mature faith still expects. It just doesn't demand a timeline. Muted expectation has quietly, secretly, stopped expecting altogether and dressed that surrender up in spiritual language so nobody, including yourself, would notice. Picture a soldier. He's been in the field for years. He's fought through everything, and now he is 1 mile from home. 1 mile, but his body is shutting down, his legs are failing, and right there, 1 mile from the life he fought for, he sits down. Not because the battle beat him, because exhaustion did what the enemy couldn't. That is you. If you let weariness have the final word. Picture the 10 virgins in Matthew 25. 5 of them ran out of oil, not because they weren't chosen, not because they didn't start well, But because they didn't sustain what the long wait required, the bridegroom came, and their lamps had gone dark. Chosen one, God is still moving, the window is still open, but your lamp must still be burning when he arrives. I need you to look honestly at your own spirit right now, not at your habits or your attendance or your outward devotion. Your spirit, is the fire still there? Or have you settled into a quiet, comfortable, painless kind of faith, one that costs you nothing because it expects nothing? Because the moment you let tiredness interpret God for you, you become vulnerable to missing the very miracle that was designed to carry your name on it. You are not weak because you are tired. Tired is human. Tired is honest. Tired is something God can work with. But you become vulnerable the very moment you let that tiredness speak for God. So right now, not at the end of this message, right now I'm asking you to make a decision. A small one, but a holy one. Refuse to let weariness write your theology. If you will not allow exhaustion to steal what God has already prepared for you, type "I will not faint" in the comments. Let heaven record that decision. Let it be the line in the ground that exhaustion cannot cross. And if this message is reaching something real inside you, press the like button right now, not for the channel. As an act of agreement, as a declaration that you are still awake to what God is doing, because the window is still open. But chosen one, if faith exhaustion doesn't close it, the second trap often does. And it's far more subtle, far more dangerous, because it doesn't arrive looking like a trap at all. It arrives looking like ordinary life. You made it past the first trap, but the enemy studied that. He watched you hold your ground against doubt. He watched you refuse to shrink. And so he changed his strategy. Because if fear cannot stop you, he will distract you. And here is what makes this trap so devastating. The distraction almost never looks like a trap. It looks like a phone call, a family crisis, an old friend reappearing with fresh drama, a sudden financial pressure that demands every ounce of your attention. It looks like life, just life happening all at once, right now, all at the same time. But chosen one, I need you to hear this with your whole spirit. The enemy rarely announces himself with horns. Sometimes he arrives as interruption. Think about the timing. Think about when the noise started. Think about when the chaos entered. Was it right around the time something in your spirit began to stir? Right around the time you started feeling that pull toward prayer, toward change, toward something greater? That is not coincidence. That is warfare. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Guard your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life." Not sometimes, not when it's convenient, with all diligence. Because the enemy knows exactly where the spring is, and he will do everything in his power to contaminate it before the water reaches your purpose. Picture a thief pulling the fire alarm to empty the room before stealing what matters. Everyone runs out. Everyone responds to the emergency. And while the room is empty, while your attention is scattered, he walks straight to the thing God was preparing to place in your hands. That is the strategy. Create noise, generate urgency. Pull your eyes off the window. And chosen one, I have to say something now that is going to be uncomfortable. Not every open door is from God. Not every urgent thing is important. Not every emotional pull deserves your agreement. How many times have you abandoned your peace to manage someone else's chaos? How many mornings have you woken up with clarity, genuine God-given clarity, and by noon you were buried under everybody else's emergencies? This is especially real for you, for the ones who have spent decades being the strong one, the ones everyone calls, the ones who have carried family burdens since before their own children were grown, the ones who feel personally responsible for every storm in every room they walk into. You were not assigned to carry all of it, and the enemy knows that if he can keep you carrying everyone else's weight, you will arrive at the window, exhausted, distracted, and convinced you have no right to step through it. That is not humility. That is a trap wearing humility's clothing. Listen to what Jesus said in Luke 10:41-42. Martha was overwhelmed, running, managing, busy with everything. And Jesus looked at her and said, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things, but one thing is needed, one thing." In the middle of all that legitimate, reasonable, understandable busyness, one thing, chosen one. What is your one thing right now? Because I need you to ask yourself an honest question. What recently entered your life that stole your clarity? Not years ago, recently, in the last 30 days. What showed up uninvited and rearranged your focus? What conversation drained you dry and left you with nothing left for God? What family tension resurfaced old roles, old guilt, old dysfunction, pulling you back into a version of yourself you thought you had left behind? Because here is the spiritual principle that will change how you see your life from this moment forward. The distraction almost always arrives right before the transition, because hell knows confusion can waste what fear could not stop. Think about that. The enemy tried fear and you survived it. He tried doubt and you held on. So now he sends smoke. He doesn't block the doorway. He fills it with smoke so you can't see it clearly. He shakes the branches so violently that you miss the fruit. He creates static on the frequency, not enough to silence the signal, but enough to make you question whether you heard anything at all. Static does not mean the transmission stopped. It means something is interfering. And right now, if your life feels like static, if clarity has been just out of reach, if peace keeps getting interrupted, if every time you settle into something sacred, something else explodes, that is not God withdrawing, that is hell interfering. Because you are too close. You are standing too near to what God is opening for the enemy to simply leave you alone. James 4:7 says, "Resist the devil and he will flee," not negotiate, not compromise, not manage carefully. Resist. That word means active, deliberate opposition. It means you look at the distraction and you name it for what it is. So name it right now. Whatever has been pulling your eyes off the window, name it. Not to give it power, to strip it of the power it has been borrowing from your silence. You are not responsible for every fire. You are not the solution to every crisis. You are not required to pour yourself empty so that everyone else can feel full. You are a chosen vessel standing at an open window, and God did not hold that window open for you to spend this moment managing someone else's storm. Type "remove the distraction" in the comments if you are choosing alignment over noise today. Because the first trap was doubt, the second trap was distraction, but the third trap, chosen one, the third trap is the most dangerous of all. Because it sounds spiritual, now we arrive at the third trap, and this one is the most dangerous of all three. Not because it is loud, not because it is obvious, but because it wears the face of faithfulness. It sounds holy, it feels responsible, and it has kept more of God's chosen people locked outside their own answered prayers than pride ever could. Chosen one, I need you to hear me clearly right now. The third trap is false humility, not meekness, not surrender, not the beautiful lowliness that Jesus blessed in the Sermon on the Mount. No, this is something else entirely. This is self-minimization dressed up in spiritual language. This is shrinking yourself and calling it sacrifice. This is silencing your own faith and calling it wisdom. This is believing that expecting restoration makes you arrogant, that receiving increase makes you selfish, that because others around you are still suffering, you have no right to rise. This is believing your prayers are simply too much. Ask yourself something right now, and I need you to be honest. When was the last time you asked God for something boldly? Not carefully, not apologetically, not with 17 disclaimers attached. When did you last walk up to the throne of God the way a child runs to their father, arms wide open, full expectation, zero apology? Because somewhere along the road, after the disappointments piled up, after the prayers that seemed to go unanswered, after the years passed, and what you believed for didn't come the way you expected, something quietly shifted inside you. You stopped asking big. You stopped expecting much. You pulled back your hope like it was something embarrassing to be seen holding. You told yourself it was maturity. You told yourself it was acceptance. You told yourself you were being realistic. But chosen one, that was not faith growing up. That was faith giving up, and it disguised itself so well, because it sounded like humility. It sounded like contentment. It looked like peace. But underneath it, if you press your hand against your own chest right now and tell me the truth, underneath it was grief. The grief of playing small. The quiet guilt of hoping again and being afraid of what happens if you believe and it still doesn't come. That is not holiness. That is heartbreak in a church coat. The Apostle Paul writes in Philippians 4:19, "My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory." Not some of your need, not the modest, reasonable, don't ask for too much version of your need. All of it, according to his riches, not yours. And yet how many of God's own people are standing beside that well, dying of thirst, refusing to draw water because they feel too undeserving to reach down? You are standing outside a room that God himself furnished with your name on the door, and you won't go in. Not because God locked it, but because you still feel like the old version of yourself, the one who failed, the one who fell short, the one who waited too long, or believed too little, or made too many mistakes to deserve what's on the other side of that door. Chosen one, I am talking to you right now with everything in me. You are not blocked by pride. You are blocked by a holiness-shaped version of unbelief. Sit with that. Let that land. Because false humility is not always lowliness. Sometimes it is fear wearing church clothes. And God is not glorified. Are you hearing me? God is not glorified when his children remain permanently terrified to receive what he has already promised. There is nothing arrogant about agreeing with what God said. There is nothing presumptuous about standing on a promise he wrote with his own word. Jesus said in John 10:10, "I came that they may have life and have it abundantly." Abundantly. That word in the Greek perissos means excessive, more than enough, beyond the ordinary. That is what he came to give you. So when you call yourself unworthy forever, when you shrink your expectations down to almost nothing and call it godliness, you are not agreeing with God. You are disagreeing with him. Quietly, politely, dressed in spiritual language, but still disagreeing. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. True humility is agreeing with what God thinks of you. And God looks at you with every scar, every year, every failed attempt, every long night you spent crying on your knees, and he still calls you chosen. He still calls you worthy. He still holds the window open. The question is whether you will finally walk through it without apologizing. Take a breath right here. Let that truth settle deep. If this cracked something open inside you, if you felt something shift in your chest just now, type "I agree with God" in the comments. Declare it. Because declaration is the first act of real faith. You have survived the breakdown. You have named the traps. You have faced the fear. And now, everything in this message is about to turn. Because there is one final thing you must understand before this window closes. The difference between what most people call anxiety and what God actually calls awakening. And once you see it, you will never confuse the two again. Let me ask you something nobody around you has thought to ask. When was the last time someone sat down with you, looked you in the eyes and said, "What you are feeling right now may not be a warning sign. It may be a birth sign. Because I believe that is exactly what heaven wants you to hear in this moment. You have been carrying something that doesn't have a clean name, something your doctor can't diagnose, your children can't quite understand, and your own mind keeps trying to file away in the wrong drawer. And most people, well-meaning people, good people, have been calling it anxiety. But chosen one, what if they're wrong? What if what is moving inside you right now is not a breakdown pulling you under, but an awakening pulling you forward? Here is what I know after a lifetime of studying God's Word and watching His hand move across human lives. There is a feeling that comes just before God opens something significant, and almost nobody recognizes it for what it is, because it doesn't feel like blessing. It feels like pressure. It feels like restlessness. It feels like grief wrapped around hope, and you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. Sound familiar? The Bible is not silent about this. Romans 8:22 tells us plainly, the whole creation groans and labors with birth pangs, not death pangs, birth pangs. There is a difference, and the difference matters more than most people ever stop to realize. A woman in labor is not injured, she is producing. The pain is real, the intensity is real, but the direction is forward, toward life, toward arrival, toward something that could not come any other way. So let me describe what holy transition actually feels like. And I want you to sit with this. Really, sit with it. You wake in the early hours not because something is wrong, but because something in your spirit is alert. Like a watchman climbing the tower before dawn, something inside you is already at attention before your mind even catches up. You feel detached from old environments. Places you used to belong no longer feel like home. Conversations that once satisfied now feel thin, like trying to eat paper. And you don't know why you've changed. You just know you have. Your discernment around people has sharpened. You can feel things in rooms now that you used to walk right past. Motives, energies, alignments. Things your spirit registers before your intellect can catch up. You cry unexpectedly in prayer. Not from sadness exactly. From something closer to recognition. Like part of you is finally being seen, and the relief of it breaks something loose. You feel an unusual longing for quiet, for stillness, for less noise, less crowd, less performance. Something in you is pulling inward, not toward isolation, but toward preparation. And underneath all of it, this unnamed sense that something is ending inside you before it ends in the visible world around you. Chosen one, I need you to hear me clearly. That is not anxiety. That is old skin tightening before it sheds. That is a radio coming into tune. That is the first grey light of dawn that always arrives before the sun breaks the horizon. Now let me draw you a line that will change how you see everything. Anxiety scatters. Awakening clarifies. Anxiety drains your sense of identity until you don't know who you are anymore. Awakening sharpens your identity until you finally remember who God said you were. Anxiety pulls you into panic, into reaction, into frantic motion. Awakening pulls you into prayer, into sobriety, into an unusual, almost sacred attention. Which one has been happening to you? Because Elijah sat under a juniper tree in 1 Kings 19 and told God he was finished. Completely done, empty. He felt like a failure by every visible measure. And do you know what God did? He didn't rebuke him. He didn't push him harder. He sent an angel with bread. Let him rest. Then said, "Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you." The journey is too great for you. Not the journey is over. Not you missed it. Not you've been disqualified. Too great. Meaning ahead. Meaning there is still a road and God is still sending provision for it. That exhaustion you feel? It may not be the end of the road. It may be evidence that the road God has ahead requires more strength than you've been living on, and He is building that strength now, in the hidden place, in the groaning place, in the place that looks from the outside like struggle. The fact that you cannot fit comfortably into your old life anymore, that old routine, that old smallness, that old version of you that you've been trying to squeeze back into that discomfort, may be the most powerful evidence that heaven is pulling you forward. You have not regressed, you have outgrown, and you cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. Jesus said so himself in Matthew 9:17. The old container cannot hold what God is about to pour, so the container has to change first. And that change from the inside feels exactly like what you've been feeling. So if you have been mistaking your transition for collapse, type "This is awakening" in the comments right now. Let heaven and your own spirit hear you claim it, because here is what comes next. If this truly is awakening, if you are truly standing at the edge of something God is opening, then the next question that must be answered is the one that changes everything. What, exactly, is on the other side of that window? And more urgently, what are the 3 traps that cause God's own people to miss it just as it opens? Stay with me. We are going there now. Chosen one. Stay with me right here, because everything I just warned you about, the traps, the silence, the subtle ways people miss what God is opening, I told you all of that for one reason, so that when this next part lands, it lands on clear ground, not on fear, on faith. You have endured enough, you have waited long enough, and now I need you to hear, really hear, what is waiting on the other side of this window. Not as a wish, not as a maybe, as a word. God does not hold windows open over people He has forgotten. He holds them open over people He has been preparing. And chosen one, He has been preparing you. Think about a field, bone dry, cracked earth, season after season of nothing breaking through. Farmers walking past, shaking their heads. Looks finished, looks barren. But underneath that hard, silent ground, the root system has been going deeper than any human eye could track. And then one morning, it rains. And what looked dead turns green almost overnight. That field is your life right now. The rain is coming. So let me tell you what God may be holding open for you. Not in vague, floating language. Specifically, personally, for you, restoration of your reputation. Some of you were misrepresented, lied about, quietly dismissed by people who never took the time to understand your full story. You carried that silently, with dignity, because you knew God saw the truth. Proverbs 22:1 says, "A good name is more desirable than great riches." God is a God who restores names. What was taken from you in whispers, He is capable of returning in declarations. Your name is about to be spoken in rooms, in the right rooms, with honor. Provision that arrives from directions you never looked, not through the door you've been watching, through a door you didn't even know existed. The widow in 2 Kings 4 didn't expect oil to multiply in her kitchen. She expected nothing. God specializes in the unexpected route. The call you didn't anticipate, the check that arrives when the math made no sense, the connection that comes through someone you barely knew. Get ready for provision that defies your personal logic. Healing, and I mean real healing, not just physical, though God is able, and do not let anyone talk you out of believing that, but healing in the mind, where anxiety has been loud for too long. Healing in the memory, where old wounds keep replaying like a record that won't stop. Healing in the emotional places where grief settled in and started paying rent. Isaiah 53:5 is not a decoration on a church wall. It is a living promise. By His stripes you were healed. Past tense, already purchased, already yours. Alignment in your relationships. Some of you are surrounded by the wrong people, and you already know it. You feel it in your bones. The drain. the weight, the conversations that leave you emptier than before they started. God is not just opening doors ahead of you. He is reorganizing who stands beside you. The relationships that belong in your next season are not the same ones pulling you back in this one. Heaven is repositioning your circle, renewed purpose. And this is the one I need to speak to directly, because I know who is listening. Some of you are in your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, and somewhere along the way, somebody, maybe life itself, convinced you that your most meaningful chapter was behind you. That purpose is for the young, that God's assignments have an age limit. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Moses was 80 years old when God called him to lead a nation. 80. Anna was in her 80s, still faithful in the temple, when she became the first human being to publicly declare that the Messiah had arrived. God does not retire his chosen ones. He reserves some of his most profound assignments for the ones whose suffering has produced the deepest wisdom. Your pain was never meant to be your permanent address. It was preparation, not prophecy. The suffering did not define your destination. It developed your authority. Because chosen one, and hear this carefully, this window is not only about what you get, it is about who you become when you walk through it. A cleaner season, a quieter life, more honest, more free, peace in your home like you haven't felt in years. Strength returning to your body in ways that make no medical sense. Clarity settling into your mind like fog finally lifting off a river at dawn. Your dignity restored. Your story still active in the hands of God. A room that has been shut tight for years finally filling with fresh air. That is what is on the other side of this window. Not perfection, not the absence of difficulty, but integrated wholeness. The kind that can only come from a God who knows every broken piece of you and calls it beautiful anyway. Receive this with faith, not fear. Right now, in the comments, write, "I receive what God is opening." Let that be your declaration. Let that be the sound of your yes meeting his open door. Because the window is still open, chosen one. But before we close, and I need you to stay because this is critical, there is one final instruction. Because an open window still requires a response. And what God is asking of you in this moment may be the smallest thing you've ever done and the most important. Now listen to me carefully, because this is where most people disconnect. They receive the revelation, they feel it land in their spirit, and then they walk back into the same living room, sit in the same chair, and do absolutely nothing differently. And the window closes. Not because God changed his mind, but because passivity can still miss what opposition could not stop. You survived the storm. Don't let the stillness after it steal what the storm could never take. So right now, I am going to give you the sequence, not a list, a lifeline, because some of you are standing inches from the very thing you thought you had lost forever. First, stay still enough to hear clearly. I know that sounds simple. It isn't. Because when a window opens in your life, fear will immediately try to rush you. Panic will try to make your decisions before God does, and a panicked soul makes expensive mistakes. Psalm 46:10 doesn't say, "Try to be still," it commands it. Be still, and know that I am God. That stillness is not weakness. That stillness is warfare. Because in the quiet, God speaks the next step, and the enemy cannot intercept what he cannot hear. Don't let panic drive. Let peace navigate. Second, remove what clouds your discernment. Chosen one, be honest with yourself right now. What is constantly draining your spirit? What voices are you allowing into your ear that speak only fear, only doubt, only defeat? What old habits are you still feeding that are fogging the very window God is trying to let light through? You cannot hear heaven clearly when you are surrounded by noise that was never assigned to this season of your life. clear the debris from your doorway. Some relationships, some habits, some thought patterns, they served a chapter that is now closed. Stop dragging them into the new room. You cannot walk through an open door while carrying furniture from a house God already told you to leave. Third, stop insulting the promise with unbelieving language. This one will sting, because it hits the ones who pray the hardest. Every time you say, "Nothing ever changes for me," you are rehearsing defeat in the very season God is preparing your victory. Every time you say, "I'm too old, too tired, too far gone," you are agreeing with the enemy's report instead of God's record. Romans 4:17 says, God calls things that are not as though they were. That is your model, not denial, not pretending pain doesn't exist, but choosing God's word over your circumstances' verdict. Your tongue is either setting the table for blessing or locking the door before you even reach it. Which one have you been doing? Fourth, agree with God out loud, not in your head, out loud. Because there is something that shifts in the atmosphere when a chosen one opens their mouth and speaks life into their own situation. Speak the promise over your health. Speak alignment over your finances. Speak restoration over your family. Speak courage over the next step you've been afraid to take. You are not performing, you are positioning. And when you speak what God has already declared, heaven moves to confirm it. Fifth, prepare as if the door is real. This is where faith separates itself from wishful thinking. Faith is not fantasy. Faith makes room. Pack your bags before dawn for a train you know is coming. Set an extra place at the table before the guest arrives. Begin moving as if the answer is already in transit, because it is. In John 11, before Jesus ever called Lazarus out of the tomb, he said, "Roll away the stone." God was not going to do what the people could do. He was waiting for their participation before he released his power. What stone have you been waiting for God to roll, that he's been waiting for you to touch? Sixth, stay humble, but do not stay small. There is a false humility that looks like meekness but functions like fear. It says, "Who am I to believe for something this big?" It shrinks from the window instead of stepping through it. It apologizes for the anointing on its own life. Chosen one, smallness is not holiness. God did not wire you for survival. He wired you for significance. Carry this grace without arrogance, but carry it. Lift your head. Walk through the door that is already open. Seventh, remember blessing is stewardship. This is the one most people never hear. When God opens this window, the increase coming into your life is not just for you. You are a channel, not a reservoir. The favor, the provision, the restoration, it flows through you to touch the lives connected to yours, your children, your grandchildren, your community, your church. People you have never met who need your testimony to survive their own dark season. This is why the enemy fought so hard to keep you small. He wasn't just afraid of your blessing, he was afraid of everyone your blessing would reach. And now I want to close with a final charge, because some of you have been standing at this threshold for years, waiting, hoping, enduring, and the window is open. But the window will not wait on hesitation forever. The door is real. The train is at the platform. The light is already coming under the door. The only question left is whether you will move. If you are ready to protect this window and walk through it with God, type "I will walk through" in the comments right now. And send this to someone who has been close to giving up. Because your obedience today may be the exact word that keeps them standing one more day. The window is open. Don't let passivity do what opposition could not. Chosen one, we have walked a long road together in these past minutes, and now we arrive here, at the threshold. This is the moment everything either clicks or slips away, and I need you to hear what I'm about to say, not just with your ears, but with the deepest part of your spirit. Because some of you have been standing in the hallway of fear for so long, you have started calling it home. You decorated it. You adjusted to its darkness. You told yourself, maybe this is just how life ends for people like me. But I came to tell you tonight that hallway is not your home. Do not die in the hallway of fear when the door beside you has already been unlocked. Do not camp outside the mercy you have been praying for. Do not let old pain that is years old, decades old, do not let it narrate a brand new season. Because here is what the enemy does not want you to know. The pain that has been narrating your life was never qualified to write your ending. God is. And here is the shocking truth that changes everything. You were never abandoned in the silence. You were being carried to the edge of a window only God Himself could open. Romans 8:28 does not say some things work together for good. It says all things. Every confusion, every closed door, every year that felt like a burial, all of it, working together for your good. The waiting was not wasted. The silence was not abandonment. The pruning was not cruelty. The pressure was not proof that God forgot your name. This season is not ending in confusion. It is ending in clarity. And the difference between the two is whether you choose, right now, to lift your head. Think of a prisoner sitting in a cell, hearing, after years of darkness, the final lock click open. That sound, that one sound, changes everything. Not because the prisoner suddenly became worthy, but because the one holding the key decided, now. Chosen one, God is saying now. Not when you fix everything, not when you feel ready, not when the fear subsides. Now, exactly as you are, exhausted, uncertain, scarred, and still standing. Hebrews 4:16 says, "Come boldly to the throne of grace, that you may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need." Your time of need is not tomorrow, it is this moment. Walk through, and so I pray over you now, not as a formality, as a declaration. Father God, in the name of Jesus, I speak directly to the exhaustion sitting on this chosen one's shoulders right now. I command it to break, not bend, break. Every weight that has been disguising itself as wisdom, every hesitation dressed up as humility, I declare it dissolved, right now, by the authority of heaven. Lord, sharpen their discernment, because too many of your chosen ones are mistaking awakening for anxiety. They feel the stirring, and they run from it instead of running toward you. Open their eyes to recognize your movement, even when it arrives without warning, without explanation, without applause. I speak peace into their body, into the bones that ache, into the chest that tightens, into the mind that races at 3 a.m. searching for answers only you can give. Let peace settle there now, like morning air flooding a room that has been locked shut for far too long. Renew their hope, God, not fragile hope, not the kind that collapses under one hard week. Renew the deep, anchored, unshakable hope that comes from knowing who holds the window open. And Father, give them courage. Not the feeling of courage, the decision of courage. Because courage was never a feeling, it was always a choice made before the feeling arrived. Protect what you are opening. Guard it from the voices that will call it foolish. Guard it from the relationships that profit from their smallness. Guard it from the false humility that has kept them apologizing for promises you made. And Lord, protect their timing, because your timing is not late. It has never been late. And what you open, nothing, no fear, no failure, no voice from the past gets to close. Chosen one, hear me now. These final words are not mine. They belong to you. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. You are not forgotten. You are not the sum of your worst season. You are the chosen of God, standing at the edge of an open window, with morning coming in behind you and assignment waiting ahead of you. The door was held open by scarred hands, hands that know what suffering costs, hands that paid the price so you would never have to earn your way through. Stop apologizing for the promise. Stop shrinking in front of what God is trying to place in your hands. Stop negotiating with fear about whether you deserve to walk through. The window is open. Lift your head, take the step, rise, walk, and receive. If this message confirmed what your spirit has been quietly, desperately feeling, type, "The window is open" in the comments. Let heaven and earth witness your agreement. Like this video if tonight you are choosing faith over fatigue. Subscribe if you want messages that reach the deep places, the places no one else speaks to. And share this with the one person in your life who almost gave up too soon. Because maybe God brought you here tonight, not just for yourself, but so you could bring them with you through the door. Chosen one, the window is open. Walk through.